on getting on here, just wanted to get everything set up with the exercises. Actually didn't even get everything all set up as much as I wanted to. We're gonna let some people start coming in here. But still wanted to be able to go over what are some of the key exercises when it comes to improving the speed. Would be happy to be able to, answer any questions, making kind of like a Q&A, as well as just like an informative way to understand what's going to be the most beneficial. I sent out an email as well, kind of leading up to this. So, hopefully some of you guys got that email that are able to watch this. But the point is that when going over the information, I'm not going to get a ton into the programming side, right? There's a lot that goes into, these types of exercises, this type of training. What we want to be able to do today is focus on the exercises themselves, right? What are going to be beneficial things to do? We could say in general, you want to be going between like 8 to 15 reps with a lot of this stuff. I'm going to try to make it so it's some things that are different, right? Some things that are not commonly done. Some of them might be more commonly done than others, depending on your program and what it is that you focus on within your sprint training. But for a lot of guys, there are things that I think can be very beneficial in improving overall sprint performance. Okay, and really when we get into sprinting, I'm going to go ahead and get this up here. We're starting off with Nordics. I don't want to go in and ramble too much, but I also want to be able to connect and make it so you guys can understand the critical parts about sprinting and the exercise selection and why it ends up being important. But the most common things that are really difficult, I think, for people to be able to improve on, myself included, right, is foot contact time, right? Being able to really maximize how fast that you're able to, spend into the ground. Okay. And then also being able to improve the distance per step, right? Being able to optimize the distance per step while also being able to maintain the fast leg cycle. Right? Because what happens is, when we start to be able to open up more, right, we work on being able to increase our distance per step. A big concept we talk about is we want to be able to go 10 yards in 4 steps, right? For the most people, what we want to be able to do, right, because if you're 5'10" to 6'2", which is a wide variety of, athletes, high performing athletes, you fall in that, to some degree, there could be variability there. But, once you get over 6'2", you want to be obviously able to cover even more distance, right, per step. And if you're under, it'll be faster or better to almost be faster with your legs than it is to be able to cover distance. Okay. But with those two things being in play, right, being able to get 10 yards in 4 steps, right, and being able to get under 0.1 foot contact time, those being the main two things, that's really what we want to be able to focus on when we're looking into the exercises. So, the best thing that I think you could do to develop your speed is going to be the Nordic hamstring curl, right? Just being able to work on the length of the hamstring, right? The ability to utilize the muscles within the low back, the ability to utilize the strength within and build the strength within the hamstring is a key thing to be able to do. Obviously, that I'm trying to do this with the thing here on the back. And the point with this is this, a lot of people want to be able to say that, you need a partner and things like that. There's a lot of ways to do this exercise, right? And even if you are moving a ton with this back, if you're not able to stabilize it really well, a lot of times what that means is that you can actually use your hips better, right? It means you're pushing too much upwards with your feet and relying on that rather than utilizing the hamstrings, the hips, and the low back, right? So you want to be able to best that you can optimize that. You also the best you want to be able to get those hips all the way through while maintaining length. Okay. Another one here is going to be the leg curl, right? I'm doing a leg curl with a monkey foot here. Right. There's a lot of different ways of being able to do this. And what I'm trying to do in this particular variation is keep my foot a little bit further back. Right. So I'm almost working on when my foot first comes off the ground, when I'm going through like a leg cycle, being able to have that fast action of bringing my heel straight up to my butt. Okay. We don't want to end up teaching ourselves to come back with our heel too much, We want to be able to really train ourselves to be able to come straight up with the heel as soon as that foot comes off the ground. And that's what I'm trying to do here, having my foot a little bit further back behind, but maximizing the ability to get the heel straight up and through. Okay, I would say that a thing that I would work on here would be not having my knee come as far forward in this position, but I'm critiquing my own individual technique. And then with that, like I have the standing leg curl machine is actually on the way. I'm excited to get it. That I think is also going to be a very, very effective tool for being able to build up the hamstrings, right? If we're talking about improving top speed, right? That's the conversation for today. If we're talking about improving top speed, what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to maximize your hamstring length. You have to be able to maximize your hamstring strength. You have to be able to have a lot of health within that particular muscle group. You can't have weakness within your hamstrings and be able to run fast. It just doesn't happen. You have to be strong within that particular muscle group, which is why first two exercises are focusing on that. Okay, then we go into hip extension. Okay, and if you guys have any questions for me, again, like I said, leave that in the chat to the side. We'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have about exercises, about building your top speed, about what it is that we're really covering today, right? If you have anything that if you came in a little bit later and you're missing something, would be happy to be able to catch you up or answer questions and things like that. But at the end of the day, the most important thing here is understanding the key exercises to improving top speed. So the next one's going to be just single leg hip extension, right? Just adding some weight to the hip. And I mean, right now I have 55, 60 pounds. I'm always big, I'm a strength coach at the end of the day. So I'm always big on adding weight, right? You don't want to be limited in how much weight we're putting on. Like put on 50, put on 60, 70 pounds. Make it so it's difficult for you to be able to get your hips all the way through. If it's easy, if it's not a challenge at 8 to 10 reps, then it's probably not enough weight. Okay, we got to be able to build strength within the hip extension. We have to be able to be very, very reliant on that hip extension in order to cycle the legs quickly. And that just doesn't happen if we don't have the range of motion again within those hip flexors. Okay, or we also don't have, or we don't have the strength within the upper hamstring glute. So this is a critical type of exercise. You could do this one leg, you could do this two leg, you could use it with a barbell, you could use it with a dumbbell, right? There's a lot of ways to do these type of exercises. I was just doing leg curls, same type of thing, right? You don't have to do it with a monkey foot like this. You could do it laying down, at the gym. When you do it like that, I would recommend one leg, okay, instead of two. Doing it standing is obviously going to be a lot more beneficial overall, but it's another good way to be able to build up your leg strength in general, right? And you can see just trying to get full hip extension all the way through in that position, really trying to squeeze the glute at the top. Next one's going to be hip flexor strength. Okay, there's again a lot of ways to be able to build the hip flexor strength. This is an example. You could do it without weight, right? We could do it with like a band too. You could put like a band here and a band here, and you can work on just extending the foot. You could work on putting the bands on the feet and just lifting up, just like I am. Just want to be able to again challenge the how much resistance that you have, right? We want to be able to strengthen these muscles. So if it's not getting stronger, if you're not getting stronger, then we're not going to be able to see the results that you're looking to see, right? You want to be able to increase your top speed, then you got to be adding some weights with the bands. You got to be adding some weights with the monkey foot, things like that. Now, when you're doing this, what's an important technique kind of hack, I guess, or a technique thing is we want to be able to get this shin even. Okay, a lot of times when a lot of people, when they first start doing this exercise, they want to have more of like a 45-degree angle with their shin. I only have videos here today of, proper technique, but, a lot of times we see guys that have their shins more like this. When you're doing any type of knee flexion, hip flexion, knee drive type exercises, start getting used to getting that shin at a 90-degree. We don't want to get used to having that shin back, because that's a key thing in helping us with our front side mechanics is how fast can we get our shin through. So if we're keeping our shin back as you're doing this, what that's going to do is it's going to make it so you build that pattern in your mind that your shin is going to be at this angle when you get to max knee flexion, where what you want to be able to do is get at least to 90, if anything, have that shin further out. So then we can have a greater foot contact, right? And build ourselves to have great foot contact and understand what's important in making that a part of your, mental, framework, right? Your mental habits. This one's going to be just building your anterior tibialis, okay? That muscle on the front part of your, shin, front part of your ankle. How are we going to contact the ground? We talk about this all the time. How to improve foot contact time, even how to resist shin splints, right? If anybody's watching this and you have shin splint issues or knee issues, this is a great way to be able to address that while also improving performance. Because what this does is it makes it so now we can better control dorsiflexion. Right? We want to be able to maximize dorsiflexion the best that we can. How do we do that? We have to be able to strengthen that anterior tibialis, right? We need that strength to be able to get that foot up, right? And then also have the power to then strike down. Okay, so when doing this type of exercise, what I'm doing is I'm building up that dorsiflexion. So then now I can strike down with more force, right? It's like loading. We talk about this all the time. It's a great analogy for performance, which is loading the rubber band. Right. So if we're strengthening, if we're getting that dorsiflexion strong, we're loading that rubber band. So then when we strike the ground, when we plantar flex into the ground, we have more behind that. If you don't have strong anterior tibialis, what it does is it makes it so, one, you're going to have a lack of stability when you land. That's going to make it so your foot contact time is longer. Okay. When your foot hits the ground, you want to be as quick as possible, being able to stabilize, right, control, and then toe off. Okay, under 0.1 seconds. That's what we want. That's the goal. Okay, but we also have to be able to maximize force production, and force production comes from loading into dorsiflexion here with the ankle, right? Getting that toe up and then striking down into the ground. Yeah, about 15 reps for a lot of these exercises. 8 to 15, right? Like this one, better to do more. Okay, like the single leg hip extension exercise, somewhere within 8 to 12 is a little better. When we're looking at the, got a question here on YouTube about the reps here. When you're doing the monkey foot, it's a little bit better for hip flexion to do more, leg curls to stay, maybe closer to 10 to 12, somewhere in there. This one, what I typically do is like 10 to 12 reps, maybe 15, just trying to build my leg cycle. Right. I know I have a curve, right? A lot of people don't have the curved treadmills, right? So you can't necessarily do this in general, right? To add to this would be training your overspeed, right? Being able to work on the cycle, right? Being able to increase your leg cycle. So, by me holding this, what I could do is I can work on how fast I'm cycling my legs forward and through, right? That's the primary goal of this is being able to isolate that movement. How fast can I get my feet up, back through, working on that leg cycle, working on that knee bend, right? And being able to just build up the speed there, okay? Now, if you don't have this type of equipment, what you could do is, the best thing to do, and I'm excited to be able to get this as one of the main things I want to be able to actually, purchase and be able to help guys out with is that overspeed treadmill, right? Being able to get you to run at a, 27, 28, 30 miles an hour. I think that's the max that the overspeed treadmill goes to, because that will make it so now you can get that increased the turnover, right? The increased cadence. You can understand how fast your legs can really cycle, right? When you can actually build that within, again, your brain can adapt. Our brains, the reason human beings are who we are is because we have an amazing ability to adapt to our surrounding, an amazing ability to adapt to the situations around us, which is also a great reason for why, a lot of you guys are watching these videos, and, why being able to really understand what differentiates you is that the brain wants to be normal, right? It wants to be average. It wants to be comfortable. The natural human nature is for us to just survive, right? It's just us to be able to make it through one day, right? Not to thrive, right? Not to be able to run 23 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, not to go from running 11 seconds to sub 10 seconds, not for going from running 4.8 down to 4.5. That would be what the brain wants to do, is stay at 4.8, right? Maybe go to 5 seconds. It doesn't really, just stay where we are, just survive, just make it through the day. What makes people being able to get to a whole nother level, right? What differentiates the top of the human race is the people that decide to get uncomfortable, that go outside of that push, right? To have that motivation to be able to say, no, I'm not okay with average. I'm not okay with being, running a 4.8, right? I'm not okay with running 11 seconds or 12 seconds. There's people all the time, even in my life, talking about, you're doing great, that you're doing awesome. Or I see, there's so many positive things and I appreciate it. But at the same time, I look at myself like, man, I'm not utilizing, I'm so far beneath what my potential is. I could be so much greater. I could do so much more, right? And that ends up being a key thing of what you want to be able to do as an athlete, is you want to be able to figure out how on a daily basis you can build yourself to have that knack of going towards the uncomfortable, to being able to reject the part of your brain that says you're good where you are, or you're too tired, or you can rest, or you could relax, or take your foot off the gas, and instead go into that part of your brain that's saying, I need to, the people that are showing up here, right? They're saying, how can I get to that next edge, right? I commend you because you're saying, what can I learn? What can I do? What exercises can I implement that can make it so I can take it to the next level? And just by doing that, just by recognizing that, you want to now lean in to that very idea. Don't think that just because you're here, it's enough. It's not enough. Now it's implementing this on a daily basis and understanding how to be able to push your limits and push those limits on a daily basis and on a consistent basis, so you could be the best version of yourself. And to me, that's how you're happy, right? That's how you get over depression. That's how you get over anxiety. That's how you get over the negative things, right? It's not about going and getting any type of outside influence that's going to make it so now you're happy, or you're okay, or you have motivation. It's an internal thing. It's an internal motivation. It's an internal desire. It's having so much connection to your goals, to what it is that you want to be and achieve and accomplish, that you wake up saying, I'm freaking pumped up. I have to be pumped up, right? I have to be happy, excited, motivated, right? There's people that are depending on me to make these types of videos, right? There's people that are depending on me to when they show up, they improve their speed. If I'm not happy, if I'm not at the top of my game, then I am failing any one of you guys, right? Failing myself, most importantly, failing my goals, failing what it is that I want to accomplish. Okay, so take it personal. It is a personal thing. Making it so you are extraordinary, right? Maxing, getting the most out of your potential is very personal within you and very accountable based off of who you are, right? If you're depressed, if you're not happy, if you're not happy with where you are today, it's because you are not being accountable to who you can be and who you thought you could be, right? That's what makes it so now you're not as accountable. Or that's what makes it so you get into being depressed. That's what makes it so now you don't have a positive outlook, is because you know that you could be greater, right? You're looking so much in the outside, looking at what other people accomplish, looking at what other people are doing, what other people are achieving, and know you could be better, and that's what makes you upset, right? Comparing yourself to others. Anyway, we'll go into the foot range of motion. I know I had that like kind of thought last night, and I wanted to be able to get it out. So thought it was a good opportunity. Thanks for listening. Give me a thumbs up. What's up? I'm not great with names, but Hamant, I want to say good morning. How's it going? I know for you it's morning, for us it's night here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Another big thing is going back into our foot contact, right? Is being able to have a lot of our momentum being forward. Okay, so what happens is when people land, right? When you're landing, when you're sprinting, what can end up slowing up that foot contact is we end up shifting too much of our weight back. Okay, is one thing. Another thing is we land with too much of our weight back. We're not able to get our toes all the way down into the ground. So we have to start building that comfortability within our toes, within our feet, to be able to allow more of our weight to shift forward and have that flexibility and that range of motion within our big toes, within our feet, right, within our ankles. So then when we land, we're able to stabilize and control at a high level, okay? And when we go and we push off, we want to be able to do that so that you can see for me here, I'm just going, I'm holding onto the bar. I'm not using like a lot of weight or anything like that. I'm just trying to get my knee down the best I can. Because what this does is it makes it so now when my foot comes off the ground, when I'm full sprinting, this heel can come right up here, right? If I'm not able to get all the way up onto my toes here, what's going to happen is as I come off, my heel is going to go more back behind. I'm going to lose my heel back behind, which is going to limit my leg cycle. It's going to make it so my leg cycle is either slow, okay, or doesn't maximize the front side mechanics, okay, or the range is not very good. So if I'm too far back, then when I come through, when I'm trying to get into hip flexion and drive my knee forward, or my heel's so far back, my heel's connected to my knee, right? Like I can't go, my knee can't go forward while my heel's going back. It's just not possible, right? When my knee goes forward, my foot's coming through too. So if my foot's going back, my knee is also going back. So if my foot's going back off the ground, that's limiting how fast I can get my knees through, which is going to impact my distance per step. It's going to impact how well I can get myself ready for ground contact, right? When I can get my foot all the way through, now I could really maximize foot contact and also land in a position where I'm very upright, right? In a position where my foot is fully extended. I use no allows a lot as an example. Okay, you can see like right here, like it's painful. This is not a thing that feels good. Okay, this is something that will really challenge your range of motion, but it's a great thing to help you in understanding the actual range and strength that you need. Now I'm going in, I'm getting a little bit more depth. Now I'm like pushing up off the ground to again kind of work that leg cycle, right? This is like a video I actually did. Here, this is almost more like the start, right? Landing with that heel all the way up, getting good start mechanics, right? We have to be able to have good start mechanics. Here, I'm doing just RDLs, right? You know, I'm doing this single leg, going in and working on exploding all the way through using a Viper as I'm doing this. This is an example of a exercise, right? Single leg stability. Ways that you can enhance this exercise, ways that you can make this better to improve your top speed, okay? Have more weight forward, potentially even have your heel up off the ground to make it so all of your weight is as forward as possible, right? Obviously, you could also use dumbbells, use kettlebells. I recommend using 2 weights when you're doing this, not only 1 weight. Okay, you could also add in, you know, like a step up type of a lunge with this. Okay, you could use a barbell and then explode your hips through, right? And as my left foot's coming through here, I'm lunging onto a box or lunging onto a bench. Okay, like those type of things are good. I could go here, right, and I could jump, right? Get into this position, get all of my weight as far forward as I can, and I could jump, right? I would be able to, in this spot though, have as much extension in that knee and controlled extension in that knee as really possible. I mean, you know, we don't have the knee completely locked out, right? I would say that we want to have a slight bend there, but the more you can keep that leg locked out and have control within that knee, have control within that ankle, that's really what we're doing here. It's not necessarily a strengthening exercise as much as it is a control and balance and being able to optimize how much of our weight can we have maximum control over as forward as possible. Okay, that's what that RDL will teach our body, will teach our ankles, because again, it matters how our foot hits the ground. So this is a great example, right, of exactly what I'm talking about, where the foot hits the ground, right? So you can see me, I'm really trying to land with my toes here, okay? So then I can understand how to be able to better land and absorb. And this is an important thing to do as well, is just like, you know, depth jumps, right? But see how fast my weight immediately shifts back, right? I'm here, heel up, foot hits the ground, immediately heel onto the ground. Okay, this was a few years ago when I filmed this. Okay, but the idea is we want to be able to keep as much weight as we possibly can forward. So in order to do that, what you have to be able to do, again, this is a little while ago, I have definitely better range of motion within my dorsiflexion, but you have to be able to have good bend here. You got to be able to get your knees to be able to come out in front of your toes more effectively, right? So then you have more weight forwards and those heels are up sooner. So you can see for me here, I'm here and I have to go and almost push my knee back as I'm toeing off. The best way to do this would be if I could bend more with my knee coming out in front and get my hip through better. So then I can go more of a forward horizontal action, not so much of a vertical and horizontal action. Okay, that would be a better way to be able to improve single leg landing, right? More progressions off of that would be single leg, so that's single leg broad jump. We would also want to have single leg vertical jump, right? We'd also want to have, so depth jump to a single leg vertical jump. We'd also want to have a depth jump to a lateral jump. We'd also want to have a depth jump, single leg depth jump to a rotational jump. So there's a lot of things that we could add on to that. Okay, it's just the concept, right? Being able to understand and teach our bodies single leg stabilization, coming from a high height, landing with as much of our weight forward as possible, keeping our heels from hitting the ground, so then we could transition right back off, and understanding what that feels like. So then when we're actually sprinting, when we're actually training, when we're actually doing exercises on the track, on the field, or whatever, we could feel the difference between if we're doing it correctly or if we're not doing it correctly. Because the better we can understand the feeling behind it and connect with our brain, our whatever, your heart, your feelings, your hands, your feet, your toes, your body, you need to be connected to it. You got to be able to feel it. If you can't feel it, then you're not going to be able to improve it and maximize it. So you have to be, the more you can feel what it feels like to land and keep your heel off the ground, or land and stay forward, and land and be able to stabilize and control, then the more ability you will have to be able to master that action and that feeling when sprinting, when going through your start, when going through your drive phase, when going through your top end speed phase. Okay, you've got to be connected. The only thing that's in touch with the ground, right, when you're sprinting is your feet. There's nothing else touching the ground. So if you don't know what's happening with your feet, and how you're using your feet when you're sprinting, there's no way you're running as fast as you possibly can. Okay, same concept here. Single leg broad jumps, right? Two leg broad jumps is a great way to do this as well. There's information out there that talks about how a two leg broad jump, right, what they do in the NFL Combine, the two leg broad jump is actually a better way of determining top speed than the vertical jump. Okay, so people that are great with the broad jump are much more likely to be great at top speed, right? I guess not much more likely, but they're better. They're more likely to be great at top speed than the vertical jump, right? There's people that are very fast that don't have a great vertical jump, but basically everybody that's fast has a great broad jump because of that horizontal force, right? The ability to create and control horizontal force action, and that's where that broad jump comes into play. So it's a single leg broad jump, right? Trying to get high, trying to get distance. Same type of thing though. So when I do this, I'm working that leg cycle. So notice how when this foot comes off the ground, getting that heel up and getting that knee through, so then I can work on being able to control that landing and get right back off the ground. This one, you're always going to end up probably having a little bit more time spent on the ground. This would be a good thing where you could use overspeed to be able to help you out, get some type of, something that will impact your, the speed, right? Something that's like pulling you forward, a band pulling you forward, something pulling you forward. So you have to just land and accelerate right back off. Can't spend too much time on the ground. Okay. But when we're doing this, we want to, same type of thing. We want to be stable with that landing, right? Use your ankles, use your feet as you're hitting the ground. Go from dorsiflexion into plantar flexion. Stabilize within the feet for each one of those reps. Try to get as much of your weight off the ground as quickly as possible. And I video this all the time. Okay, I mean, I use these videos to be able to show you guys, some of this stuff. But when I'm working out all the time, I'm looking at the broad jump, the how I'm sprinting, how I'm doing my single leg cycles, how I'm doing my squats, and I have mirrors all over the place too to just get a better understanding. This is a little bit older, video before I started to, or before I put in the mirror here, but it's important, right? It's important to be able to see how is it that you're doing these exercises. It's not just about doing this exercise. It's about how to do this exercise. So notice here, I'm landing, okay? I don't want to land and see instability in my foot and my ankle. I want to see land and it be rock solid, right? Rock solid. For some reason, I couldn't say that right there. Yeah, so when we land, we want to be able to be lock solid. I also want to be more consistent. Okay, this one, I landed with my foot a little bit more on inside, right? I want to be able to get in the same position every time. See how my foot keeps on coming inside? It's terrible, friggin' disgusting. I can't even watch it. It's so bad. Okay, you want to be able to land here, get right back up, get that right back to that position. Okay, at least I'm landing and pretty stable. This last one I had a little bit more knee bend or wiggle because my foot started to come inside. But man, sorry for showing you guys just a terrible example of how to land right there. I should have looked more in depth before using it. Here, single leg jumps, right? Yeah, I think that in general, doing a single leg jump would be, or vertical jumps are not always the best determiner of the top speed. But what I do like about at least single leg vertical jump is it teaches that heel to come straight up, right? Because when you do this, you can't get that heel to go back. You have to see how he comes right up forward with that heel, right? That's a critical thing in understanding how to be able to, have a better leg cycle, right? Being able to maximize that leg cycle. So a lot of it is power here, right? Just understanding power. This is a great one, the hex bar, because I think it creates a great relationship between the low back and the hips. We want to be able to, as we're running, feel those hips be able to come through, right? Because what happens is we start a little bit more like in this angle, right? When we're first starting, okay, this would be a very, very similar position within the spine as you would see anybody that is, going through their first 3 to 5 steps as they're sprinting. And so what we want to be able to train ourselves to do from here is get those hips through, right? Be able to manage and feel and enhance our ability to get those hips through. Notice how his spine's locked in and he's getting those hips through, right? So being able to kind of build up that strength and that familiarity with being able to maximize that is a great way to be able to improve your top end speed. Okay. And I tell people this all the time too. When we're talking about top end speed, we're talking about your ability to, and that might be, no, I think I have another one at the end. No, I don't. Yes. The hex bar. Let me see. There's a couple other things that I wanted to talk about too. I have here, but that's it on that. But the ability to get your hips through is something that is critical in not only your ability to run fast. You can see this. I'm using this another example the other day. I was going and just filming some single leg broad jumps and trying to work on the ability to do that. But when you're going through your drive phase, when you're going through those first few steps within or as you're maximizing, when you're getting to your top speed, and people that have trained to be able to get into faster top speeds, right? Getting into 22, 23 miles an hour, they know, and they can relate to me on this, is there's a lot of difference between an individual rep, right? Sometimes you go and you get it, right? You go through that drive phase cleanly, you get into your top speed, and you can get into the fastest, right? The fastest you ever ran, right? Everything just comes together correctly, right? It's that building from the start, those first few steps into your drive phase, getting those hips through, getting that spine through, building that timing within the arms, making it so then you're cycling the legs fast. You're able to control that cycle with those arms, with those legs, really maximizing each step. That's what makes it so you get into that top speed, right? It's not like Usain Bolt ran 27.8 second or 27.8 miles per hour every single time he ran, right? But he was able to put it all together. I'm sure there's times where he ran faster than that. And I'm sure there's times where some of these other top sprinters, Noah Lyles probably got at least close, right? It's gotten into 26, potentially, mid to high 26. And it all comes from how are we building the speed, right? It's not only about top end speed, just reaching that top speed and, just running at top speed. I see that all the time with people that are on the curved treadmills, right? They hold onto the side and try to get their legs going fast and then try to be able to just hold top speed. And I try to explain to them that it's about the building. It's about the process. It's about being able to understand how to maximize the hip extension, how to maximize and create the timing between the hip flexion and the knee flexion to the hip flexion, right? So when that foot comes up back behind, okay, that's going to be that knee flexion, that knee's bending, okay, knee bending here, okay, and then hip flexion is when that leg comes through. So first thing that happens, boom, right? First thing that happens is knee flexion, my knee's bending, okay. Immediately what wants to happen after that is hip flexion, my knee's coming forward, okay, and being able to maximize and improve that, right? Be able to get a great feeling for what that feels like, knee flexion, hip flexion. okay, and be able to then do that every single time when we're sprinting, and again, build that familiarity, build that relationship within the hamstrings, within the hip flexors, within the ankles and the feet. Okay, and that's why when I was really training a lot to run the 100 and trying to get as fast as I can, I want to be able to get back to a 23 is my main goal. I was running about 20 miles an hour the other day. My big goal is to get back up to 23, and the thought process behind it is have more familiarity. I need to sprint more. If I'm not sprinting, if I'm not challenging that range or not challenging those times, then you don't get that ability to actually understand the top end speed. So if there's one thing that I would say to people that are looking to improve their top speed is build the familiarity of how to get to top speed. How is it that you can maximize your ability to actually get to your top speed? Because then once you can get that familiarity, now you can film it and see it and analyze it, understand it, right? Because now, like these are all good exercises, right? Best exercises that you can do to help you improve your speed. I didn't want to add in, squats and lunges and traditional deadlifts. Those are obviously good things. Good mornings. Those are obviously good things, right? Like those are things that are going to help you out as well. I wanted to add in some things that I think are a little bit different, right? So then you could kind of get something that could hopefully apply to your program a little bit better, and hopefully make it so it's something that you're not currently doing. I'm sure a lot of people are already doing squats, might not be doing them correctly, but I'm sure you guys are doing them in an effective way. But the thought process is understanding first, what is it you need to improve? Okay. There's something I could really drill down for people to understand is you have to understand what is it that you need to get better at. You can't go out about this in a way that says that you don't understand the specifics of your mechanics, right? If you're going about this saying you just need to get stronger, right? Or you just need to get a stronger squat, you just need to get a stronger deadlift, you just need to get more, stronger hamstrings, more powerful quads, whatever, right? Stronger glutes. Why? Ask yourself that question. Why is that what is holding me back? How do I know that is the thing? How do I know that if I improve my hamstring strength, that's going to lead to faster top speed? Okay, because once you can isolate the key part, now we can go and actually create a program and a regimen that makes it so you can enhance your top speed. Okay, so that's why these are all very they're not very specific. Okay, there's a lot of variables that come into play here. There's a lot of things that could be potentially great for you, right? Or there's things that could be not as great for you, not things that you need as much, based off of your own body and your own sprinting mechanics. So as you're going through and again building and understanding your top speed and understanding where you're at with the top speed. And I did a formula recently to make it so you guys could really see that, right? I mean, this thing I'm using OnForm, you might be able to do it for free a couple times. I'm sure there's more options out there, right? Of ways where you can go and slow down a video and see the time. Okay, but what you'd want to do is see how long it takes you to run 10 seconds. Okay, and then from there, measure the leg cycles. Right? See how long it takes you from when the foot lands to, when that foot lands again, right foot to when the right foot lands again. Okay. Get that time, right? Right side, then left side, when the left side lands, so when the leg lands again, right? See how long it takes you to cover 10 steps. Is it 4 steps? Is it 4.5 steps, right? It shouldn't be 5 steps, but if it's 5 steps, it's 5 steps, right? Wherever it is. Okay. If it's over 4, that, then you want to be able to add in a little bit more time there. But then when you take your times, your leg cycle times, just add those up. Okay, it should be about 4 steps. Again, maybe a little bit more, and then divide by 2. Now you know how fast you ran 10 yards, right, or 10 meters. Okay, there's a lot of different speed things you can go out on to be able to find that out. right? So then you have the time and you have the distance, right? So you have the 10 meter, you know the distance, you ran 10 meters, you ran 10 yards, whatever the case may be. And then you have the time when you take the cycles, right? And again, add a little bit more time. If you didn't get four steps in 10 yards, right? Add a little bit more to it. Okay. But then divide those numbers by 2. So add all 4 of those cycles up, divide it by 2, right? And that would be an estimate of how fast you run a 10-meter split or a 10-yard split, what your miles per hour are. So then you could see what it is you need to do. I mean, based off of the distance and your height, you could say, okay, I need to work on my, like the distance per step, right? Or based off of how much time you're spending on the ground, you're spending too much time on the ground, over 0.1 second, then, foot contact is a big thing. Okay. And getting more into plyometrics and landing and RDLs and stability of the ankle and foot strike and things like that. Okay. If it comes to leg cycle, right, and your ability to effectively go through the leg cycle, could be your hamstring strength. It could be your hip extension. It could be your hip flexion. Okay. There's a lot of things that could potentially go into that as well. But there's no way to really understand what is going to be the best exercise for you unless you actually go and take the time to be able to really understand where you can improve the most. And then based off of that is where you get the most bang for your buck within your training. So, yeah, thanks you guys for watching this here. 6 o'clock, I think it's good. We covered a lot of things. We went in depth. We'll do more videos like this. I love going into the exercise side of things and actually creating a regimen and something that makes sense for you guys to be able to improve your speed. We have a lot of great things in the description here down below in terms of programs, how to get faster programs, 12-week programs, faster 40, speed breakdowns, look more, if you want to do that, if you want to get the specifics within, your top speed, your 10-yard, whatever, there's always a speed breakdown option. I give you exercises and drills with that as well. It's a great way to be able to connect and see, what is it that you need to improve on, because you send in videos to me. It's a 4-week thing, right? It's $150. It's 4 weeks, right? And what it is like unlimited breakdowns, unlimited video you could send over to me. And so I'll look at it and I'll do that exact thing that we were talking about. I'll look and see how much time, I for this, the app, it's not expensive. It's like $30 a month. And I can get as many as I can. Yes, of course. Thanks for watching here. Jay Fishman, appreciate it. But yeah, you send in the video and I can take a look at it. I'll be able to give you a rundown of, how fast you're going, what you need to improve on, foot contact, leg cycle, distance per step, based off of what we're seeing. We could give you drills, exercises, either way, I give you a whole program to do for the 4 weeks. But we can get more specific into, these are the main drills. These are the main exercises. This is what you're missing. This is how you can improve. And again, that's the start. It's the drive phase. It's the top end speed. It could be for the 100. It could be for the 60. It could be for the 40, all of it, right? I look a ton into the steps and, how much time we should be spending on the ground, how much time we should be spending off the ground, and how to be able to really maximize our overall top speed, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to be able to run fast, whether you're playing football, soccer, or American football, track and field, baseball. Speed is critical. So we have to be able to build our speed in order to be great athletes. And a big part of understanding speed is understanding where are we deficient, where can we make the biggest improvements. So then we can really get into the specifics of how to be able to maximize top speed for our bodies, for our anatomy, for our current situation. So again, thanks for watching, guys. Check out some of those programs if you're interested. Would be happy to answer any questions for you. You guys got my email. You guys got my social media platforms. Those are all, should be available in the description, as well as, should be able to, access pretty easily through, you're on a social media right now. You already have my social media. That's how you're watching this right now. So yeah. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of the weekend. Talk to you.